What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a legacy deck centered around the core of Blastoise Keldeo, but it then became Blastoise Keldeo Black Kyurem. So you know what, I'm just going to zoom in on the Blastoise because it's the thing that makes this entire deck run. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, I mean, it's a Sunday, so you guys already pretty much know what the question is going to be. Have you guys had anything exciting happen in this past week, or are you having anything exciting in this upcoming week? You know what? Not or. Are you having anything exciting? Did you have anything exciting in this past week? And do you have anything exciting coming up in this next week? For me, honestly, I'm just working, summer job, preparing to head off to med school, all that good stuff. So it's really just kind of a relaxing but preparing summer. So really not doing a whole lot, trying to earn a little bit of money here and there, but really nothing overall exciting since my trip to the Bahamas. I mean, that was the excitement for my summer. So I'm just gonna... yeah, now it's just all downhill from here. So, but yeah, let me know what's going on in your guys' life in the comment section down below. Love to hear what you guys have going on. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is a legacy deck centered around the combination of Blastoise and Keldeo. Blastoise is the Pokemon that makes this entire deck go with its Deluge ability. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So it's just kind of a... well, let's get a bunch of energy and throw it onto our Pokemon and hit for a ton of damage. Now, the original combination was with Keldeo, with Secret Sword. This attack, for 3 energy, although you tend to have quite a bit more on Keldeo, does 50 plus 20 for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. So the entire combination was use Blastoise to just throw a ton of water energy on Keldeo, and then Keldeo just to absolutely destroy whatever was in front of it. In fact, Keldeo only needed 6 water energy. Well, I say only, but that's over half the water energy in the deck. But Keldeo could have 6 water energy on it and one-shot 170 HP Pokemon. At the time that Blastio was so popular, I believe the only relevant EX that it couldn't knock out with 6 energy on it was Darkrai with 180, because Landorus, even though it had 180 as well, it would still get one shot because of weakness. Mewtwo, other Keldeo, Rayquaza, and then even even Verzian and Genesect later. Actually, not Verzian because it had the water resistance. But either way, in its heyday, Blastoise Keldeo. If Keldeo had 6 water energy on it, you're in a whole lot of trouble. But this deck got a lot better because while Keldeo was very, very good, it's still, I mean, when EXs started being 180 80 HP, like things like Eviolite as well, really messed with the math on Keldeo's Secret Sword, because all of a sudden it had to have more and more energy, and a Mewtwo with the DCE would just be able to come back and one-shot it. However, Kyurem really was a godsend for this deck because it has Black Ballista. For 3 energy, does 200 damage. So basically, for 3 energy, just kill whatever's in front of you, and you discard 3 energy attached to this Pokemon. So a little bit more, like, resource... well, not exactly, because Keldeo would require a ton of energy, while Kyurem only required 4, but it did discard the energy. So Keldeo was more for the long game. Kyurem was kind of a, okay, this thing's a threat, I'm just going to get rid of it. And then it also required a lightning energy, however, it was mostly water, so that was easily worked around by just throwing in a couple lightning energy as well as the normal counts of water energy just to power up Kyurem, but also have enough for Keldeo as well. And the third attacker in this deck is Mewtwo, just because, like I said, with the Keldeo having so much energy on it, a Mewtwo could just come out, slap a DCE on it, and then Keldeo would just take a gigantic hit, if not get knocked out, for simply a DCE. My Mewtwo is my way of saying, okay, you have a Mewtwo that you started to power up to get rid of my Keldeo. I'm going to power up my Mewtwo to knock out your Mewtwo, and then it just kind of digresses into Mewtwo Wars from there. But I'm only running one Mewtwo, so that way it doesn't turn into Mewtwo Wars like that. So yeah, that's kind of my... alright, you had a Mewtwo as an answer to my Keldeo, my Mewtwo is an answer to your Mewtwo, and let's see what you got. And also, if you don't have like a Keldeo or a Black Kyurem down, Mewtwo is never a bad Pokemon to throw energy on, because X-Ball does 20 times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. So I mean, just slap a bunch of energy on Mewtwo and run through your opponent's deck. So really, 3 big attackers that, depending on the matchup, will determine which one you use, but all 3 are excellent and can hit incredibly hard, and it's just a matter of what deck you're up against to determine which attacker you use. Finally, we are running 4-1-4 of Squirtle through Blastoise, and you might be thinking, wait, you're only running 1 Wartortle, and you're only running 2 Rare Candies. How are you going to get that 4th Squirtle into a Blastoise? The answer, well, simply you don't. You only need 1 Blastoise, and Blastoise is really never going to be attacking. The only instance that Blastoise would be attacking is against a Sigilyph or a Suicune, and at that point it actually just, if you power up Hydro Pump with Water Energy, you'll be able to one-shot Sigilyph and Suicune. So I mean, that's the only instances that you would really use Blastoise. But otherwise, Blastoise just sits there on the bench and you deluge. However, it's so important to this deck that we want to get it out as quickly and consistently as possible, hence the 4 Squirtle and 4 Blastoise. 1 Wartortle is in there because normally you want to have at least 2 Squirtle down. Like, just plain and simple, you want to have 2 Squirtle, you want to get like 2 Blastoise in play, that way just shutting down or knocking out one of your Blastoise will not destroy your deck. And yeah, so you want Blastoise and you want it consistently, that's why there are 4 Squirtle and 4 Blastoise. As for the items, 1 Computer Search, I mean, that's a spec of choice, 1000%. This is a deck that you might be able to run Dowsing Machine in, but in my testing, I want Computer Search way more often than not. I mean, that's just the A spec that I want because this deck does rely on a little bit of a combo with Squirtle, Rare Candy, Blastoise, and being able to Computer Search for that one thing really is pretty necessary in this deck, so that's why I went with Computer Search. Running 1 Energy Retrieval, I mean, we have Superior Energy Retrieval in this deck, but Superior also requires you to discard cards. Energy Retrieval is just kind of like well, I have this, I only need like a Lightning Energy to power up a Black Ballista, so I'm just going to play that down, not have to discard and just get 2 energies back. 1 Energy Search, there we go, because, I mean, normally you don't run it in a Blastio deck. I mean, you just don't, because, like, well, what do I need? I already have all the Water Energy. I run a ton of Water Energy in the deck, so I'm rarely ever going to need to search for it. This is because we're running Kyurem in the deck, and we're only running 3 Lightning Energy. So that's kind of well, I have a ton of Water Energy, and I have Kyurem powered up, except I just need that 1 Lightning Energy that I can't seem to find. Energy Search is like, I got you, bro. I'll get that Lightning for you, and yeah. So Energy Search is simply there for the Lightning. 4 Junk Arm, just broken card. Absolutely absurdly powerful. Be able to reuse things like Rare Candy, Tool Scrapper, Energy Retrieval, all that good stuff just to get whatever we need. 1 Level Ball to get a Squirtle out. That's really the only reason you run Level Ball, is to grab the Squirtles. Occasionally you can use it to grab Wartortle, but more often than not you use it for Squirtle. PCOM, you can definitely run Heavy Ball in this spot because Kyurem has 3 retreat, Blastoise has 4 retreat, so Heavy Ball can get both of those without having to discard with Ultra Ball or have a Pokemon in your hand. I just like the flexibility of PCOM because we run enough Pokemon in our deck that, I mean, more often than not, I'm able to get what I need from PCOM. However, if you just want the guaranteed, I need a Blastoise or a Kyurem of Heavy Ball, then yeah, definitely use Heavy Ball in this slot. However, I liked its ability to grab a Squirtle or a Keldeo. I just like the flexibility of PCOM, but it's a little more situational. Whereas Heavy Ball is alright, this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna get. So definitely up to you guys. Try it out and let me know how that works. 2 Rare Candy, plain and simple, go straight from Squirtle into Blastoise, only 2 because we have Junk Arm to be able to reuse them if we need to. 3 Superior Energy Retrieval to grab energy, like say a Keldeo gets knocked out, or, well, mainly for when Kyurem discards a ton of energy with Black Ballista. But let's say a Keldeo with 6 energy gets knocked out, you Superior Energy Retrieval, get 4 back in your hand, Deluge, and boom, you have another attacker that is incredibly scary and ready to go. But again, like I said, Superior is mainly for how often Kyurem has to discard energies. 2 Tool Scrapper, running a higher count of this because Garbodor just destroys this deck, shuts it down completely. Oh yeah, speaking of abilities, another thing that I forgot to mention, Keldeo has Rush In, so there's really no catcher stalling. I mean, your opponent can only Catcher Stall if they have like a Garbotoxin set up or something like that. But otherwise, Keldeo with Rush In can just be like, you know what, whatever's active, it's in danger, I'm just going to Rush In. It resets things like Poison if you have double Rush In, because your bench Keldeo rushes in, and then the Keldeo that was poisoned or asleep rushes in. So it's just really nice for resetting status conditions and other things. But Tool Scrapper, we need a high number because this deck relies so much on abilities that Garbotoxin just destroys it, which is why 2 Tool Scrapper, 3 Ultra Ball, sorry, to just grab any Pokemon that we want when we want. And then as for the supporter line, we have 4 Oak's New Theory, because this deck doesn't like discarding all that much. I mean, yeah, you have Kyurem discarding energies, you have Computer Search, Ultra Ball, and Junk Arm discarding stuff, Superior Energy Retrieval as well. So, I mean, Juniper is an incredible supporter. Like, you cannot be draw 7. Like, you cannot be discard, draw 7. And that is good in some cases for getting a niche item into the discard pile to use with Junk Arm later, but more often than not, we want to just shuffle draw 6 with Oak, so that's why there's a heavy number of that. However, Juniper, like I said, is incredibly strong. And then there's N, who, I mean, just really good comeback card, really good shuffle draw 6, disrupt our opponent later in the game if they take too big of a lead with our slower start. And then 1 Skyla, just to search for that rare candy, superior energy retrieval, whatever that may be. By the way, 100% use this Squirtle. I'm not sure if there's another one. Yeah, there are a couple more in the legacy format, but definitely use this Squirtle because of Shell Shield. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. With Landorus and like Genesect and Darkrai and Kyurem everywhere, Squirtle is an easy target for things like Hammerhead, Night Spear, all that stuff, because it gets 2-shot by those. So if you don't evolve a Squirtle, and it easily will get 2-shot by it, and there goes your strategy. Shell Shield blocks all that damage, so yeah, use that Squirtle. Back to the tools, 2 Float Stone, only 2 just because, I mean, we have Rush In with Keldeo, and worst case scenario, you discard 2 energy, but still that Rush treat is always nice. And as for the energy, 11 water, we want a bunch of them so that we can deluge as much as possible, just get our attackers hitting incredibly hard. And 3 lightning energy for the Black Kyurem. So, yeah, that's the deck, and let's go ahead and see it in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Gary SK8 with a fighting, what was that? It was fighting Psychic and Steel deck, so kind of reminds me of my, Lando Jirachi Garbodor deck, Lando Mewtwo Jirachi Garbodor deck that I run. I start off with some stuff. I mean, Keldeo's good a starter as any. I mean, this deck really doesn't have any particularly bad starters. But, okay, so it's a Donphan Garbodor deck, which could be very troublesome. I mean, just the Garbodor part is troublesome. But what I can do right here on this turn is Ultra Ball for a Squirtle. Attach the energy to the... Or I might just go for a Keldeo so that I can rush retreat twice. I can rush in twice. But either way, my opponent... Pretty good start on his end. Being able to get a Phanpy, a Float Stone onto the Trubbish, and then he's just going to punt away his hand. That's a funny joke. I'm never going to get tired of that one, even though I know that all the audience is. But gets a good hand. Or, actually, no, apparently doesn't. Sorry, I was saying, like, gets a good hand. He got a good amount of cards off of a supporter. And, oh, here's what I can do. Ultra Ball, get rid of a Junk Arm and the Lightning to grab a... Just go ahead and grab another Keldeo. That way I can do double Rush In to get rid of the poison. And then hopefully I can draw into a Level Ball or something off of this. Or I could just draw into the Squirtle. I mean, that works too. Be able to just play the Squirtle right down there. And then I'm going to Rush In with this Keldeo. I might just go ahead and... Rush In again. Yeah, let's go ahead and put the damaged Keldeo up, the one that doesn't have the energy. Just keep the undamaged one as safe as possible. If I can get an Ultra Ball or something, I'm going to go for it. But for the time being, what I'm going to do is go ahead and Energy Search. That way I have the water energy in my hand. Increases my chance of drawing into something that I could use, like a Blastoise or something like that. Unfortunately, the Garbodor does arrive. Turn 2 Garbodor also gets a Mewtwo down. Mewtwo is like the mortal enemy of Keldeo at this point. Whew, this is going to be a very, very rough matchup. I mean, I'll have an advantage on the Donphan side, but that Mewtwo is just going to be terrifying to deal with. And also, I mean, the Garbodor as well. And there's a Lando as well. Oh, jeez. And a Hypnotoxic Laser. So this is just going from bad to worse very quickly. Thank the Lord my opponent hasn't gotten a Verbank down yet. If I can somehow get a Blastoise and a Tool Scrapper and another Energy, then I can actually start doing stuff. Getting Energy Retrieval doesn't help me. So what I'm going to do is just Energy up the Keldeo and then Pont away my hand. Hopefully get something I can work with. There's a... Okay. So I can... Let's junk... no. Let's Level Ball, grab the... No Wartortle. Lovely. So let's just go ahead and grab the Squirtle. That's great. Oh boy. So this is not going well. On the bright side, my opponent doesn't have much going either. But do I want to play the Float Stone yet? No, let's hold off on the Float Stone, I think. At least until my Keldeo wakes up. I mean, this Keldeo is just getting damaged, and there it goes. It wakes up. This is getting very... This is getting tricky very quickly. I need a junk... Or not a junk arm. I need a Rare Candy into Blastoise, and then a Tool Scrapper, and then I can potentially do something. I get an Energy and a Float Stone. There's the Verbank. So does my opponent have a Donphan and an Energy? Because if he does, then that's bad. Because Garbodor also shuts down the ability of Squirtle to block bench damage, so that's pretty bad in itself. Phanpy does come down. Looks like my opponent is going to go ahead and Ultra Ball grab probably a Donphan, so at the very least, yeah, there we go. That way he can start hitting for some very solid damage. It is going to be damaging his Pokemon on the bench, which could or could not end up mattering. I mean, if he hits him twice, then Terrakion is in range of a 3 energy Secret Sword, and Mewtwo is in range of a 5 energy Secret Sword. So I mean, there's that. But otherwise, I get another Blastoise. Didn't want another Blastoise. But what I can do right here is just go ahead and Float Stone up the Keldeo, attach the Energy. So my Keldeo is going to be able to attack now. And there's the Rare Candy. Oh man, that's something. I am just going to go ahead and play the Keldeo down. Secret Sword, knock out the Donphan, and take a prize. And at this point, my opponent has to top deck something. There's another Squirtle. Squirtle, I don't love you. You're not loved. Mewtwo does come out. And if he top decks a DCE, that's something. That's okay. But, ooh. What I can do is actually just start powering up a Mewtwo in the background. Keldeo, I'm probably not going to get a one-shot on it, let's be real. And, okay, I can get a Blastoise here. Because what I can do, Junk Arm, get rid of the Oak. What else do I want to get rid of? The other Junk Arm, maybe? Because I have Superior in the deck to grab an Ultra Ball. And this is going to be a very resource-intensive turn. Because I'm having to Junk Arm for an Ultra Ball. But at the very least, I'm going to be able to get a Blastoise. And yeah, I'm going to have to get rid of my Black Ballista Kyurem just because... I mean, hopefully at this point, Keldeo can go the distance. But yeah, let's go ahead and get a Blastoise up. And it's just a matter of drawing into my Tool Scrapper at this point to be able to go off and just start wrecking my opponent. If he gets a DCE right here, that's fine. It'll hit the Keldeo for some damage, but then I'll be able to knock out the Mewtwo. I'll have a Mewtwo that I can power up in the background. I'm in a fine position right now. I think my opponent might have overextended a little bit when he discarded the entirety of his hand to get a Donphan. And there's a Tool Scrapper. So there we go. Garbodor is now... Garbotoxin is off. I'm going to be able to Oak, get some more cards, hopefully get some stuff that allows me to get a bunch of energy, and that counts. So let's go ahead and actually discard the Lightning because I can always just Energy Retrieval that back. Get 3 energy from the discard pile, 2 Water and a Lightning. Unfortunately, I can't grab the Lightning that I discarded. And then let's go ahead and just Energy Retrieval back the Lightning, start Deluging, and yeah, okay. I mean, I see exactly why my opponent forfeited. Like, I was about to go off that turn. I would have had 2 additional attachments, as well as my manual attachment, and then I would have just been able to explode from there on out. And yeah, my opponent definitely overextended at that point. by trying to, by Ultra Balling away his entire hand to get a Donphan, which I proceeded to just subsequently knock out. And I was able to take the game from there. So what I thought would be a kind of bad matchup, I mean, yeah, we had weakness. We were hitting for weakness, but he had Mewtwo and Garbodor, which spelled disaster for Keldeo. So yeah, that was a pretty good game. Let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Mikey N31 with, well, looks like we might be up against another Lando Mewtwo Garbodor deck, so that's something. Luckily, we do win the coin flip, so we will be able to go first. That is fantastic. Well, what would be more fantastic is if I was able to draw into a hand of something that I could use. And oh boy, my opponent is playing Archeops. That's not good. That is very, very not good. Ew. Well, ugh. I don't like this hand. I mean, okay, I have a computer search, I have an N, I have things that I can use, but it's just like, I don't want this hand. What I am going to do is actually computer search, get rid of my Tool Scrapper immediately. Now, you might be like, wait, why are you doing that? Well, that's because I want to be able to junk arm for it later in the game. And then I'm going to play the Lightning onto the Kyurem and away my hand, see if I can get something. Well, that works. I can play down another Squirtle. That way, keep my opponent from being able to just target down one of them and then destroying my ability to accelerate energy and then play down the Mewtwo. And if I can get like a Heavy Ball, then I'll be able to immediately go into a Blastoise. See the Tool Scrapper come down, that's fine. I have another Float Stone in my hand. I just kind of wanted to force my opponent to use that early on. That way he can't just like try to strand me with Garbodor and stuff like that. So basically I forced my opponent to waste a resource on just one. What is he doing? You know what I think my opponent is doing? I think he's going to Prehistoric Call, put himself on the bottom of the deck, and then Plume Fossil. That's actually a really kind of cool play. And yeah, there we go. There it is. So good play by my opponent. That was a very cool sequence of events, be able to do that. And then my opponent gets an N. You know what? I'm okay with that. I get a fresh hand of 6 cards. Unless my opponent decides to Portrait. He decides to Portrait. Darn it. Well, on the bright side, he does have to get rid of a DCE, which, I mean, tells me that Mewtwo will have one less DCE to work with against me. Yeah, this is going to be bad. This is going to be very bad. Then he level balls for an Execute. Is this, okay, is this some sort of, Weavile Eggs deck that I'm not familiar with? Because, I mean, I haven't seen a single Mewtwo or a Lando yet. There's a Hypnotoxic Laser. Not a huge deal if I can get a Keldeo that I can just rush treat in with. Another. Why are you wasting your lasers? Just trying to put me to sleep? I guess. But we see. Oh! Alright, so do I play the patient game or do I play the aggressive game? And so the aggressive game has a higher payoff, but it's also much higher risk. Because right now I can guarantee myself a Blastoise. And considering that Archeops can very easily come into play... know what? No, I'm just going to do that. See if I can get a Junk Arm and a Blastoise. There we go. Okay, so the risky play ended up paying off. I do have that in the discard pile that I can go ahead and Junk Arm for. Let's get rid of the Energy and the PCOM to be able to grab a Rare Candy. That way I can Rare Candy up into Blastoise. And alright, there we go. So the play paid off a little bit. And then I can go ahead and do that, play a Keldeo down, and at this point I'm just going to go ahead and rush in, because Archeops would be terrifying, but I was able to get a Blastoise up before my opponent was able to get the Archeops in play, meaning that he cannot shut down my evolutions, and I should be in a pretty good position overall. We see another laser. Jeez. How many lasers does this guy like get this early on? I mean, I know he's probably playing like 3 or 4 lasers, but the fact that he's only gone through like what? Half his deck? Is that... yeah. He's only gone through like half his deck, and he's already drawn into 3 of his lasers. He is going to go ahead and Ultra Ball. Grab a Lando. Okay, so this is a Lando Archeops deck, which normally would shut this... well, not Lando because it's weak to water. But what's my opponent doing? Is he just banking on the fact that I have a supporter in my hand? Wow, my opponent is really just all-inning on the fact that I'll have a supporter in my hand, which I actually don't agree with. He got rid of a random receiver and a Juniper in order to do that. I mean, yeah, it ends up technically paying off, but still, I think that was a very, very unnecessarily risky play on that move. I mean, at least like Juniper, and then, wait, why are you catchering? You just, I mean, that doesn't make sense. He's trying to catch her after he poisoned my Keldeo and put it to sleep. The catcher would have helped me. I don't understand this game anymore. Oh well, I mean, my opponent is going to be able to double portrait, which is a very strong. I mean, you essentially use 3 supporters in 1 turn. I mean, that's no arguing with that. He does see that. We do see the Mewtwo come down. So, I mean, as long as my opponent doesn't have a Garbodor, I should be okay. Because, I mean, yeah, I won't be able to evolve, but let's go ahead and Deluge onto the Keldeo. And then I'm just going to go ahead and Oak away my hand. See if I can get something good. Well, I get another Keldeo. Is there... Ooh, 2 water. I actually can do this. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Level Ball and a... I want to get rid of a Lightning or a Keldeo. Let's go ahead and get rid of a Lightning, get back 2 of the... We'll get back 2 water energies, and then I'm just going to go ahead and rush in. And then I can Deluge 2 water and a Lightning onto my Keldeo. That way I can knock out this Smeargle and take a prize. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, my opponent can send up Mewtwo, but then I can just hit it for some damage. Actually, well... Yeah, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and actually Secret Sword up. I mean, that was... I don't know why I was talking about putting the Lightning onto that Keldeo. Because, I mean, I already had a Keldeo that had water on it. And this way, with double rush in, I just reset the damage. I reset the poison on my Keldeo. Yeah, my opponent can go into Mewtwo, slap a DC on there, that's fine. But at this point, my Kyurem is just 1 energy away from being powered up. And I actually draw into plenty that will allow me to get my Kyurem, well, attack with my Kyurem Black Ballista, that Black Ballista the Mewtwo. So let's go ahead, and I even just draw into the energy, so that's very nice. Let's go ahead and energy up the Kyurem. Energy Search for probably just, yeah, just a water, because, I mean, all my lightning, well, I can't, because there's no lightning left in the deck. So let's just Deluge onto probably, do I want to put it on the Kyurem? Have more powered up, I think. I mean, my opponent doesn't have another Mewtwo, so I think the play is just go Keldeo, power up another Keldeo, and have that thing there, and oh, wow, that is amazing. So let's Junk Arm, get rid of the Squirtle and the Ultra Ball to grab... Where's my Float Stone? There it is. This way, I don't have to get rid of energy in order to be able to retreat, and then this way I can just rush in, retreat. I'd rather put the Float Stone on the Keldeo that doesn't have the energy on it, or doesn't have the bunch of energy on it, because that one's less likely to get targeted and knocked out. And then I am just going to retreat into my Kyurem, and I could attach the energy, but I think I'm going to keep it in my hand for next turn. That way I can Black Ballista again. Let's just discard the Water and the Lightning, knock out the Mewtwo, and take a couple prizes. So now we're in a great position. Especially since I can just Superior Energy Retrieval those back into my hand, Black Ballista once again, or just Secret Sword if I want to. But, I mean, either way, in a phenomenal, phenomenal position. What I can't even do is just power up the Kyurem, but not attack with it. Just attack with the Keldeo and knock out the Landorus because of weakness. So, I mean, I have so many options at this point. Archeops would have been a death sentence for this deck. Luckily, I was able to get my Blastoise up before he was able to get his Archeops in play. And he is just going for a Tool Scrapper. Honestly, that's fine. If he's wasting his Junk Arms on Tool Scrappers, it's not that big of a deal for me. Because, I mean, I can always manually retreat with my Keldeo if I have to. I have double rush in. That way sleep can't even put me in a bad spot. The only way my opponent can knock out my Keldeo is if he gets a Laser plus a Catcher plus a Verbank. Then he can Lysander up, or Catcher up my Keldeo, knock that thing out. And he's just going to Hammerhead the Kyurem, start damaging the Blastoise. I mean, that Blastoise isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. So I get another energy. I'm going to Superior Energy Retrieval, get 4 energy back. And then let's Deluge. I mean, I'm gonna have 5 attachments this turn. Let's power up another Keldeo. Let's energy up the Kyurem as well. Because, I mean, at this point, my Keldeo don't need all of that. And then, okay, so now I have 2 Keldeo ready to go. I have a Kyurem ready to go. And I can even Deluge once again to get even more energy on the board if I want to. But what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to hold on to my hand, rush in with my completely undamaged Keldeo, knock out this Landorus with a Secret Sword, take 2 more prizes, and then no matter what my opponent goes into, he has to go into, like... He either has to go into Smeargle or Archeops in order to avoid losing the game, because otherwise I am just going to win at this point. Let's see, can he catch her up? If he catchers up the Kyurem, he can knock it out, I think. Yeah, because it'd be 100... No, not... Yeah, 140. That would be just enough to knock out the Kyurem and win the game. But, I mean, at that point, he already used his support for the turn, so he couldn't end me, so I could just Superior Energy Retrieval all of those back into my hand, and then just Keldeo for the win. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and retreat the Keldeo into my Kyurem, Black Ballista, knock out the Mewtwo, and, yeah, that's the game. I mean, that's... Wow, that was kind of awesome that I was able to show off Black Kyurem and Keldeo. Normally, in these type of lives, I showcase either one or the other, or I end up showcasing one or the other because one just puts in a ton of work. But Kyurem ended up being the MVP of that last game. Keldeo was easily the MVP of the first game, and Keldeo, I mean, did work in this game too as well, don't get me wrong. But that was just 2 matchups that normally would be almost a nail in the coffin for Blastoise, being Garbodor and Archeops, as well as Mewtwo. Just all those things being so detrimental to getting the strategy set up. But we were able to get set up and take out our opponents, just able to play around what they were trying to do to us and able to win the game there. So yeah, that was the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.